Hi, I'm Taylor Haase. This is Danny Shirey. We are coming to you from Penguins training camp at the Lemieux complex, and we got a little bit of an injury update. Teddy Blueger, he didn't skate today. He did leave practice yesterday. Upper body injury. Sullivan did give us an update today that he was day-to-day, so that's good news. Jeff Carter, status quo for him. He's still day-to-day with his upper body injury. He did skate on his own before practice. And Kasperi Kapanen, good news, he did come back from his illness, but so the way they're dividing the groups up now, there is kind of a Wilkes-Barre prospect group, distinct group of players, and then there is a group that looks a whole lot like the NHL roster. And then so today with Blueger out, they did bump St. Poulin up from the Wilkes-Barre group to the NHL group. Are you surprised that he's the guy to get that call?
Initially I was, because I think O'Connor is obviously a little bit more NHL ready than a guy like Poulin is, but at the same time, because Carter and Blueger are both centers, it makes sense that they would want another center. The coaching staff as well as a lot of the developmental coaches have said that they really like Poulin at center. They think that's where he gets the most puck touches. They think that's where he gets his motor going the most. So that wasn't all surprising to see him get the call. And, again, I think O'Connor might be better or more ready for the NHL, but Sullivan also told us recently that he believes O'Connor's probably better suited on the wing at this stage of his career, even though he can play up the middle. So it's not all that surprising that O'Connor is down with the AHL team. He said he was a little bit disappointed by that, but at the same time, he's just trying to control what he can control and keep doing his best and putting the work in.
Yeah, Sullivan, he did say yesterday that these groups are going to be pretty fluid. We're going to see player movement based on performances in these practices and in the exhibition games. So O'Connor, we might see him get a shot up there, but yeah, he did play. They were using him mostly as a center for a while in Wilkes-Barre, so it is interesting that I guess they don't see him as a center up here. But yeah, St. Poulin, just interesting with him because they moved him to center not because they thought he would be better suited at center than wing. It was just like what you said about getting him more puck touches because he needed to speed up the learning process when it comes to his decision making. So the coaching staff down there was like, centers, they get a whole lot more puck touches. That'll speed up the learning process for him. But then once he got there, they're like, oh wait, he's actually better suited for center. And it's just how good he is at protecting the puck down low. He's just very strong on his feet, and his decision making has gotten a lot better. So nice to see him get the bump up to the NHL group. We aren't really seeing a whole lot of movement with the defensemen. They have a bunch of defensemen in this camp. They're using Friedman, Ruhwedel, and P.O. Joseph. They are kind of all rotating as an extra defense pairing. Doesn't look like any of them are going to be in the lineup yet. They are behind Smith and Ruda. Are you surprised to see that play out the way it has?
No, again, I'm not necessarily all that surprised by it. After practice today, I actually asked Sullivan if it was a fair assumption to say that Smith had a leg up on specifically P.O. Joseph, and he said, as he has said, nothing's etched in stone, and they're trying to create an environment where these guys can battle for that spot. But at the same time, Smith has basically been a shoo-in in that spot for the past several days, dating back to the weekend. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me all that much to see him in that role. I know they're very, very intrigued by the offensive potential of Smith. I just really, really worry about what he's going to provide in his own end, which from what I've seen isn't going to be a whole lot. And quite frankly, even though he does have some pretty good skating ability and has some nifty hands as well, I worry about the way he plays out in open ice and his decision making when he's under pressure. So that'll be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, they do have 3 exhibition games left. I think we do see one of those, Friedman, Ruhwedel, Joseph get in with Ruda, just see how they look together because, Hextall did say a couple of days ago that if one of those waivers exempt guys, like O'Connor, like Smith, they can earn a spot. They're not at a disadvantage. They're not being ruled out because they are exempt from waivers, and they would be an easy, risk-free option to send down, but he did say it is a point of discussion, so I think maybe would like to see one of Joseph, Ruhwedel, Friedman get a shot up there just so we can see what they have.
Yeah, and it's not like the Penguins don't know who Chad Ruhwedel is, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that P.O. Joseph isn't a better overall player than Smith at this point of their careers. And, I actually talked to P.O. today as well, and like Drew O'Connor, he's just trying to control what he can control, keep moving forward, putting his best foot forward, and hoping that things fall in line for him.
Yeah, we did get to talk to Owen Pickering today too, Penguins first-round pick. He came into rookie camp before training camp with an injury. I believe it's a wrist injury. They told us upper body. It looks like he's wearing a brace on his right wrist. Well, he was before. Today he was full contact skating with the group. I've asked both him and Sullivan if they expect him to get into a preseason game before he goes back to juniors, because he will be going back to juniors. Just the NHL CHL transfer agreement, he can't go down to the minors. For him, it's either NHL or back to juniors, and he's not ready for the NHL. So he will be going back to Swift Current. But something encouraging today is that he told us he put on weight. The thing with him, he's obviously very lanky. You can't really fault him for that, because he shot up from 5'7" to 6'4" in a matter of 3 years.
Right.
The rest of his body is still catching up to that. He said when he was here for development camp, he weighed in at 173, and then when he weighed in for this camp, it was 183. So, I mean, that's huge.
Putting on 10 pounds, right. Especially for a guy like him who, he is a beanpole right now. He will fill out, but putting on 10 pounds in such a short amount of time is huge, because as we've seen with a guy like P.O. Joseph, he has struggled a little bit to put on weight over the past several years. Don't ask him about it. But, the fact that Pickering is able to put that weight on now, and that, he's probably still got another 2-3-ish years before you're even really looking at him for an NHL roster spot. So you can only imagine how much more weight and how much stronger he'll be able to get in that time.
Yeah, absolutely. The Penguins, they have another practice tomorrow, and then they'll head to Buffalo 1 o'clock on Saturday for their next preseason game. I'll be there. We'll have your coverage for the rest of training camp and the preseason. Stay tuned for that on DK Pittsburgh Sports.